Adjong hapon sa tanan. Magandang hapon sa lahat. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lewis, and we are going to talk today about the NBI clearance, specifically as it relates to the 13A so-called marriage visa here in the Philippines. You can see I have the document here laid out, so you can see at least the top portion. And what I wanted to advise you about, a couple of things. If you're doing the application for the 13A visa and you're going to go to NBI to get your NBI clearance, which is one of the requirements, for aliens, meaning foreigners, us guys that aren't from the Philippines, you cannot receive your NBI clearance the same day. Apparently you used to be able to. Filipinos are able to. But for foreigners, you come up with a hit. What that means is I'll explain the steps in just a minute, but you come up with a hit, and what that hit means, as long as you haven't done anything wrong, you're not in trouble with the police or anything like that, that's just signifying that you're an alien, and that stops them in the process there, and your NBI clearance must be done from Manila. Okay, so here's the process. First, what you have to do is you have to do online registering for this. Basically, it's online data entry to generate this NBI clearance form. So what you do is you go to these places, usually they're across the street or down the block or walking distance. For us, it was about a half a city block away. And they will enter your information in the computer, generate the form, and you make the payment also to them. I'm going to show you the receipt now for that. Okay, so this is the place where we went. It was about a half a city block away from NBI. They're in Tacloban on Leyte. And there were like one or two people ahead of us. It didn't take long. Then they called us in, keyed in all the information. They take your name, your date of birth, where you live, who's your spouse, level of education, height, weight, passport number, your parents' names, all that sort of thing. Now you can see the fee. Here's the fee, which was 240 pesos, which is about $4.80 US. Then they print out the form and you go back to NBI. And once you're back at NBI, you fall in line into the queue, and when I got there the line was really long. I thought, wow, I'm going to be here all day, but it actually moved pretty quick. You had 3 windows working and it moved very fast. So what happens is when you sit down, you give this application, you give your passport, and you have to give a second piece of ID. I gave my Philippine driver's license. And you have to give 2 2x2 photos. These 2x2 photos, if you've ever been here before, you know you need to have them all the time. They're used for many things. If you have not been here, or rather if you haven't come here yet, 2x2 photos, obviously they're 2 inches by 2 inches, and they're kind of like a passport photo basically. Don't get them in your home country. They absolutely will be more expensive in your home country than getting them done here. They're cheaper here. And usually every time I get them, they sell me a batch of 8 at a time. And it's always nice to have extras, because when you go to immigration or other places, you never know if you're going to need them and how many you're going to need. And with immigration, sometimes that does change. So then what they do is they encode your information, and then they have the little electronic fingerprint scanner. They scan each of your fingerprints, and then when they finish punching that in, you'll either come up clean, accepted, and they print out your NBI clearance, or you come up with a hit. Now, the hit can be anything. If you've had a problem with the police, if you owe money to BIR, any kind of like problems as a visitor here to the country. But in this instance, all foreigners come up as a hit, because then what you have to do, they take you in another room in the back, at least in Tacloban, and they manually fingerprint you on one of the old style fingerprint cards with the ink, the roller, the whole 9 yards. And you fill out a bunch of information front and back of the fingerprint card. They send all your information off to Manila, and then you have to wait for your clearance to come back from there. So when my hit came up, there was actually a guy from California, a couple of people in front of me, same thing happened to him, and he kind of flipped out a little bit. He was scared. He thought something was wrong. And so we both ended up in this back area, and he was done fingerprinting before me. And him and his wife were waiting there, and his wife was talking to my wife. And I stopped actually one of the NBI agents. She was kind enough to talk to me for a few minutes and just questioned her about this whole thing. And she said, yes, it's absolutely a normal part of the process. This has been going on for a while. Immigration's actually aware of it. They know that you cannot get your NBI clearance same day. And so this was going to take 3 to 4 weeks. They gave me a release date of July 24th, just so happens to be the same release date as Nora's birth certificate and our marriage certificate from PSA. And she was kind enough to give me a phone number and recommended that I start calling around the 20th because she said it could be back earlier than that. So since these documents are supposed to be ready about the same time from PSA and NBI, we will pick up the PSA documents first because that's closer to where we live. And then we'll probably go next day to Tacloban, get the NBI clearance, then go back over to immigration, and then continue the process for the application of the 13A visa. My understanding is that day we'll be able to finish doing everything else, applying for that, for the probationary 1-year portion. I think the interview, everything, it'll take place the same day. So in the next video, I'm going to show you the checklist and the application and give you some beginning information, and then I'll post other videos as we go along detailing this process, letting you know what the requirements are and also the fees. So thank you for joining us, everybody. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments section below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you have any information to share to enlighten the viewers, that would be great as well. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye now. Nice.